Okay, welcome everybody. This is John Turner-McClelland, Cooper Mac Realty. And today we have Lorie Burch with Burch Law. How are you doing, Lorie?
Doing great. How are you, John?
I'm doing fantastic. So we wanted to learn more about you and Burch Law today. So let's tell everyone what Burch Law does. I know it's wills and probate and stuff like that, but not everyone knows exactly what you handle.
It is stuff like that, yes.
Stuff like that.
So I have my own law firm, Burch Law, and we started in 2004, 2005, and we've grown to 3 attorneys and thriving. But I started my own little practice focused exclusively on the areas of wills, trusts, probate, living wills, powers of attorney, and then we also do business law as well.
Cool. So tell everyone what probate is exactly.
Well, that's a really good question because I spent a lot of time helping people navigate it and even trying to plan to avoid it. But in a nutshell, probate is the legal process that you have to go through when somebody passes away. And with a will, this is something that not everybody knows, but even with a will, you still have to go through probate court, meaning a judge has to approve the will and has to approve of the executor who's appointed. And then without a will, that's where all the chaos starts. And so quite often we have to go to court for other purposes to get heirs appointed, attorney as ad litem appointed to research the heirs. Just a lot of complicated mumbo jumbo that takes a lot of time and a lot of expense. And it's why I spent the last 16 plus years trying to tell people that if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you.
Oh, and they do. And it
will
not be in your favor or the deceased's favor.
No.
Of course, if it's your will, you will not be around to care, but of course you want your loved ones to not be screwed.
It's not really the kind of legacy you want to leave when people are grieving and trying to figure out, especially probably 70% or more of our clients are parents who have young children. And so it's quite jarring for them to realize that if something happens to them, that the kids are wards of the state and they will be in child protective services and placed in foster care until a judge determines who is best suited to raise them.
Yeah, I've heard about that a lot, and actually have seen some documentaries on probate cases, and some of them were from Texas that were shown. And just the, for lack of a better word, shenanigans that occurs in the probate court system in Texas especially is not something I don't think most people want to deal with.
It's not hard for judges to throw curveballs at you. Now, if you have a properly written, properly signed, witnessed and notarized will done by an attorney with all the advice, probate is a relatively simple process in Texas. That doesn't mean that there's still not reasons that people want to do other planning ahead of time to potentially even avoid that. But even with that, there are a lot of things that you can do to make that an easier, less expensive process, even if they have to go to probate court.
Right. So what are some of the other things that people should do other than just the basic will?
Yeah. So, it's very circumstance specific. Just on the topic that we're on right now, a lot of people, instead of just a will do these things called revocable living trusts, which sounds super fancy. It feels super fancy. People think they need to have a bunch of money and stuff, but it's really not. What it does, if you decide to do something like that and you deed your home into it, bank accounts into it, assets into it or whatnot, when you pass away, there doesn't have to be a probate court process. They can immediately step in. But it's not a one size fits all. It's a little bit more expensive to set those up and a little bit more work to maintain. And hey, it's hard enough to get people to do a will in the first place. So the will is the foundational document. But in addition to that, we recommend for everybody to also look into doing a directive to physicians saying whether you do or do not want your life artificially prolonged, medical power of attorney who can make medical decisions for you, medical record release, make sure they have access to medical information to make those decisions, financial power of attorney if you're hospitalized or in an accident who can pay bills and handle money and property for you. We also suggest doing a declaration of guardian for yourself, which is kind of weird to think about, but if you have Alzheimer's or dementia, sometimes there has to be a court appointed guardian so you don't want to judge, again, appointing who can make those decisions for you. And then we also do this great document called Appointment of Agent to Control Disposition of Remains, and to designate who you want to oversee any type of funeral, burial, and cremation. And then for my parents out there who have kids under 18, there's also a separate document we recommend called a Designation of Healthcare Agent for Children. Because while your will can outline a guardian if you pass away, there's nobody who has automatic rights by law if you are traveling or in an accident or hospitalized or otherwise unavailable to be able to step in and make decisions for your kids. So those are a lot of the topics that we try to guide people in getting set up, just to make sure that these times that will most likely and most certainly will occur as simple and as easy on your loved ones as possible.
Yeah, I remember doing the disposition of remains with you.
Yeah.
Those watching, Lorie was our attorney for my husband and myself. The wills that we put together even before national legal marriage was a thing here in the United States. So we did that kind of early. So obviously, that being said, you obviously will handle anyone that comes to you for help, but you specialize in LGBTQ plus community.
Yes,
right?
the whole initial reason I chose this area of practice was particularly for the LGBTQ community, to help families and couples be able to make those decisions for each other, take care of kids that they brought into the world together. And even with marriage equality, it's been a re-education of our community, because there's this presumption that marriage just brings all these things with it, and it does. However, when it comes to wills and trusts and powers of attorney, visiting each other in the hospital, inheriting property, taking care of kids, it's not a given whether you're married or not. So it is just as important, if not arguably more important, to make sure for same-sex couples, married or not married, to still have and do this legal planning.
And that's a great point, because it doesn't guarantee anything just because you got married.
No, and if anything, there's this, the potential for backlash and animus that we're just going to deal with. Any great social progress deals with that. So I would argue it's even more important to have those things put in place for our community.
Right. So since you've been doing all that, I know you do live in Plano as well. How long have you lived in Plano? Your whole life, or are you a transplant per se?
Both. I think I've lived over half my life here, so I think I'm officially entrenched. But no, we moved here. I'm originally from California, then we got transferred to Jakarta, Indonesia, and then transferred to Plano in, I finished out high school here, so 10th grade. And then I graduated high school at Plano Senior High, go Wildcats. Went to college at Trinity in San Antonio, and then I went off to law school in DC and was out there for a while, and then moved back home when my beloved stepdad passed away suddenly to start my own practice and put my roots down here. So I am a confirmed Texan now.
So were you a military kid? That way you transferring oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said transfer, so most people think, oh, military brat. You're just going around. But
nope, just a brat.
Oil brat. We'll coin that term, I guess. So since you live in the area, what do you like to do for fun in Plano?
During COVID or before?
Either or both.
Yeah. Well, we have been very, very strict in our social distancing. So we've been going through a lot of Netflix shows, and if anybody out there has suggestions for us, let us know, because we're always looking for good ones. But we've got kids. My wife Kimberly has 2 children from her previous wife with her before me, and so we've got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old, and then we actually have a baby together who is almost 2 years old. So most of the stuff that we do is pretty much kid related.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, staying at home, doing things. Everyone's like, oh, well, you can go out. I'm like, I can go out.
Yeah.
Just choose not to go out if at all possible.
Yeah.
My line of work is kind of sketchy, but we can do everything like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go anywhere.
We only do virtual consultations now. We do have in-office signing appointments, just because the law does require for there to be in-person witnesses and notaries. So we have facilitated ways to make sure that we do that. And we're about to launch a pilot program to see if there's an interest in where we actually have a remote signing service. And this is far beyond these mobile notaries, because it's frightening, actually, how many of these documents, particularly wills, are not signed properly. And when do people figure that out? When someone's passed away, when it is literally too late to fix it. So we're going to test out this project to see if there is an interest in offering an alternative where we send trained notaries and witnesses to you to get the documents signed, if that makes people feel more comfortable. Otherwise, we do everything virtually, with the exception of the signing of the actual paperwork.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I actually am a notary myself. I just haven't done anything with it. So
yeah, well, we're going to put you to work then.
Hey, I may need to. So check with me later on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Think about it.
Make a note.
What else? Restaurants in the area, food. So if you're not going out, are you ordering in, or are you?
Oh my gosh, very little. All the cooking that we do, I can't even believe all the dishes that get made from cooking almost every meal at home. But, one that we have before COVID, and then we've gotten some takeout from them. One of our favorite local ones in Plano is El Noa. And it's right actually next, this is how I came to know it, right next to the Collin County Democratic Party headquarters. But they're family owned and operated, I believe, in small businesses. And so they're one of our favorite places to go get food.
Yeah, I have yet to go there, mainly because of the COVID thing, but
they'll do margaritas to go, so who can fight?
Yeah, I might have to do that. And
yeah.
You were the second person mentioned El Noa.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. It's good stuff.
Sarah mentioned them as well during our last interview.
So, of course, I have no doubt. Yeah.
El Noa is going to have to get on here too. And
yeah, that would be great for them, because like many restaurants and small businesses, they've really been hurting.
Yes, and I will do it on site. I am asking people if they want me to show up in the restaurant or not just assume. But so I have 2 others this week that we're going to be doing on site.
Oh, cool.
So that is an option for people watching if you have a small business in Plano, a restaurant specifically. And it's very good if you feed me while I'm there. It's not a requirement, but if I'm going to be there, I will eat your food.
I'd like to say the same thing for anybody it matters.
Yeah, it's an incentive. It's part of the free service. It goes along with what I'm doing right now in the community. And you, of course, want good referrals. So there's that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, and I know you have mentioned this before, so it's not going to come as a surprise to me. What is something that you, how am I going to phrase this, do or have done that a lot of people don't know about you that would be strange?
I don't know that there's anything left that people don't know about me.
I assume they don't know you at all.
Yes. I think probably the fact that I have worked as a professional Elvis impersonator.
That's the one I was trying to lead you to.
Yeah.
I found that, I guess, shocking, would be a word, but there aren't that many female Elvis impersonators, I would assume, right?
It was some fun in college.
Oh, have you done it recently? No.
I've hung up the jumpsuit.
Oh, it's a shame. You should do like virtual Elvis impersonator. Talking about probate law.
I never shut the door on anything. I actually have a copy of Elvis's will, because he's one of the rare celebrities that died with one. And so I should probably do a live event where I review his will in costume. I don't know.
It would get views. Trust me, someone will watch it.
It would get views. I don't know if it's the views I want, but
you get what you get.
Right.
To be on YouTube, you're gonna have no control.
Yeah.
All right, for the people watching, what can they do for you? what can they do for Burch Law?
I am very passionate about helping educate people on the importance of this information. And so any opportunities to really be able to speak or hold classes, it's all been virtual lately, but before virtual, I would get brought in to speak to a lot of organizations and groups, but even since then, I still do. And I'm always happy just to provide that as a service to people, because there's a lot of things people just have no idea, like what we talked about a few moments ago, that it's not automatic for a spouse to be able to make medical decisions or inherit property. And one thing I will tell you, near and dear to your heart, that people are shocked at in Texas is that with your home or real estate, if you own that with your spouse and you pass away, it will not automatically go to your spouse. We don't have that in Texas, that joint tenancy with rights of survivorship. So you will have to have some sort of legal document, whether it's a will or a trust or a couple other things that we have up our sleeves, to make sure that the home would go to your spouse.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned that, because we talked about it briefly before, but when we, or at least in the initial training that a Texas real estate agent has to go through, when they're discussing joint tenancy, they do not mention that at all, unless it was just my instructor or a course that I took. They don't mention the fact that you have to have a will, to specify that if you have a joint tenancy.
The other thing is that we have so many blended families where there's, I'm in one myself, where there's children from previous marriages. So if you've got, let's say you're remarried, but you have kids from a previous marriage and you pass away without a will or some sort of legal document, that your share will go to those kids from the previous marriage. It won't go to your current marriage. It's just how Texas law works. Mm-hmm. And the kicker that happens a lot is if those kids are underage, a judge is going to have to appoint who will oversee it for them. And who do you think that's going to be? It's going to be their other parent. So do you know how many widows end up having to manage their property, their deceased spouse's property, with their deceased spouse's ex-spouse? It's insanity, but it plays out every day.
Yeah, it's not something people want to think about, but they really need to think about it before they pass on. And
just have the peace of mind that it's in place. I know it's not fun to think about, but better to take some time and to do it right by seeing a qualified attorney and have it in place. And, every once in a while you may need to tweak it or update it, but it's going to be a lot easier to do that once you have. And I'm sure, John, you all have just a sense of peace of mind knowing that you've done that.
We do. So at least I know if I'm gone, someone will take care of something.
Yeah.
whether it's done right or not, we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
All right. Where can they find you?
Absolutely. The best place to reach us or find out more information is our website, which is Burch, BURCH-law.com. We also, you can call or text us at 972-591-1147. And we do have something very exciting that we launched last year that is an online will app that, unlike this other generic forms that you find out there, actually gives people the best of both worlds, because it is completely customized and reviewed and drafted by Texas qualified attorneys, but you still have the ability to log in and fill out some 13-part questionnaire in 10 to 15 minutes and be able to quickly get that reviewed and drafts going. So that's something you can also find at our website as well.
I'd like to thank you for your time today. We all learned something valuable, I hope, and hopefully will help you at Burch Law. And for those of you who are looking for a real estate agent, I'm your guy in the area, John Turner-McClelland at Cooper Mac Realty. My website is coopersellshomes.com, which will also be in the bottom. So everyone, if you would on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again, Lorie.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, John.